All right, so today I want to cover 13 marketplaces that you can drop ship on profitably currently, okay? Now, this is primarily, when I'm recording this, is like the beginning of April 2021, so it's obviously currently relevant like right now, but I see it being relevant, especially with a number of these marketplaces, in the coming years, okay? So some of them might fall off, but a lot of them I would assume will be here for the long run, okay? So I'm just going to outline them, and there's clearly other ones out there that you can drop ship on. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end of this video. So these are not the only ones that you can, but keep in mind that these are the ones that I've been playing around with, either because there's software that makes it, easier to perform, or obviously, you can play the volume game a little bit better. You don't have to spend as much time on those marketplaces, and some of them obviously aren't really tapped drop shipping wise, so that's another benefit of them. So I'll outline as much as I kind of know about these and my specific experience with them, but keep in mind that as we kind of go down this list, I didn't really put it in order, but as we kind of go down towards the end, those are the ones that I see as like good opportunities. But at the top, the first couple that I'll talk about here are probably like the sure things, okay? So first and foremost, as we've been talking about for like the past, I don't even know, like month or so in the past like 10 videos, is Facebook Marketplace, okay? It's an up and coming platform. I'm not going to touch on it too much here because while it's been around for I think 4 or 5 years now, the shipping option's only been around for like 6 months or so, and so it's a really good opportunity for drop shippers. The fees currently are only 5%, which is ridiculous compared to all the other marketplaces. And on top of that, you can obviously ship nationwide now, so you can facilitate the sales. It makes it really easy, and the competition really isn't there as it would be on somewhere like eBay, okay? So Facebook Marketplace, countless tutorials, countless videos on this channel. If you want to watch them, just go back and look at like the last 10 or so that I've done. They're all on Facebook Marketplace. Now, the next two are ones that you're obviously going to know, and that's Amazon and eBay. Now, can you retail drop ship on Amazon and eBay? Yes, you can, but I don't recommend it because A, it goes against their terms of service. Neither of them like it. And it's really the margins there, especially unless you're tax exempt, but like the margins on both Amazon and eBay to do retail drop shipping. And I keep in mind, like full-heartedly have not really done this much myself, but just like knowing from like what I hear from other people and like knowing how long those business models have been around, it's super saturated retail drop shipping on those sites, okay? That said, you can do wholesale drop shipping on those sites, and then it stays within the terms of service as long as you pay attention to certain things. Like I think there's like certain stipulations on Amazon where you need to you can't have any like specific brands on the box, or like you have to have like a certain label. I'm not fully sure. I just know that you can do wholesale drop shipping on Amazon and eBay very effectively if you facilitate, if you sign up for wholesale suppliers that obviously are willing to drop ship for you if you list their products on those sites, and then obviously they will fulfill the orders for you, and that goes within the terms of service and obviously keeps hopefully your margins intact because everybody's not drop shipping from the same retail sites and competing on the same listings or saturating the market like it was on eBay, okay? Full disclosure, I don't have much experience with retail drop shipping on Amazon or eBay, and I don't have any experience wholesale drop shipping on either. This is just based off of what I know, and I do plan on potentially getting into wholesale drop shipping on either Amazon or eBay, but it's not something that I see on like the immediate horizon. Right now I'm playing around with a lot of Facebook and some other ones like I'm going to talk about here in a second, okay? Now the next one is an up-and-comer that I think is really promising. I'm not currently selling on it right now. I do have a seller account that got accepted like a month ago, but I haven't really done anything with it. My first experience like listing a product just to kind of see like what the experience was like it took a long time, right? So Walmart is the next one. You can retail drop ship on Walmart. I'm not sure if it's against the terms of service, although I know a lot of people do it, and obviously it's kind of like the Wild West out there right now because it's not overly saturated. It's not difficult. It's not as difficult as it used to be, but it's not easy to get a seller account. So it's not like anybody can just like sign up for Walmart like they could sign up for eBay potentially and start listing products from retail sites to dropship, right? So your competition isn't really there necessarily as it would be like with an Amazon or an eBay. But there's a lot of, I believe, I heard it somewhere or I read it somewhere, I forget, but I believe Walmart surpassed eBay in sales last year in 2020. So it looks like what I'm trying to say is like the revenue's there, the potential profits are there, and there's not nearly the amount of sellers on Walmart as there are on like eBay or Amazon, right? So chances are, if you look at that like objectively, you can have a bigger piece of the pie because there's less sellers competing for even more revenue, right? So this is not something I've tapped into yet. I know that other people do it. It's definitely something that I see in the near future for me, but I really want to kind of get all my ducks in a row and kind of systematize the Facebook and the other ones, and really kind of get that like streamlined down, so I'm barely focusing on it. I'm just like fulfilling orders, or I'm like outsourcing it to a VA or something, and that's what I kind of want to get like all my ducks in a row with Facebook and other ones first, and then I'll move over to Walmart. I always recommend, whether you're reselling or whether you're drop shipping like this or anything like that, focus on one or maybe two different types of, reselling business models and master them. If you try to do too many things at once, you're just going to end up being mediocre at all of them and never really good at any of them. Okay. So I'm following what's the phrase? I'm taking a spoonful of my own medicine or something like that. So Walmart's a great up and comer. To my knowledge, I'm not sure if it's, like I said before, against the terms of service to retail dropship on Walmart. So facilitate like sales from like retail websites like Amazon, for example, or, eBay or Home Depot or anything like that. But I know that there's a lot of people on it. So even if it's against the terms of service, which again, I have not looked into, I don't think they're cracking down on it too heavily yet. But eventually they probably will crack down on it, I would guess, or probably not or. And the margins will probably get, just significantly lowered, because everybody will start doing that if that's a thing, right? So when I get into Walmart, I don't really plan to retail drop ship like I'm kind of doing on Facebook right now. I plan to get into wholesale drop shipping once I get all my ducks in a row, and then exploring Amazon, eBay, and Walmart, obviously, but I'll start with Walmart because I think there's the most upside there, at least from like an outsider's perspective, okay? So those are really like the four top ones in my opinion. You got Facebook Marketplace, obviously Amazon and eBay, and Walmart is a great up and comer. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Now the next one is one that I've listed, I think 5 products on, but never really kind of went full into, and that's Etsy. I know a lot of people drop ship on Etsy. The issue with Etsy, well, there's actually 2 main issues with Etsy. The first issue is that you can only list vintage or handmade products on Etsy, so you can't list like any other items. It has to be vintage, has to be handmade, so that in and of itself is not a challenge, but it's more challenging, right? Because you have to kind of pick and choose the items that you can list, and then obviously you have to find somebody that, for example, like if you went to Amazon, for example, and you went to like their homemade or something like that, you can drop ship, but because those people are making some of those items, it takes longer to obviously facilitate the tracking number and all that other stuff that comes like kind of into the logistics of performing the business model. With Etsy, you can find great products, don't get me wrong. Like for example, I listed a wallpaper that I think is, it's like kind of like a printout wallpaper that's handmade, so it doesn't take them long to create at all. And I think that that's gonna be a winning listing. We'll see, I just listed it the other day. But so that's one challenge. You can only list vintage or handmade. The other challenge with it is not necessarily a challenge, but one of the benefits of being able to list on a site like Facebook or Amazon or eBay or somewhere like that, or Walmart, is you can create listings for free, right? It doesn't cost you anything to list there. Well, and because of that, you obviously want to be selective with the items and do some product research and be listing things that are in demand. Like that goes without saying. But one of the benefits of a place like an eBay, right, where you can leverage software, or like Facebook, where you can list really fast with software like ZDrop, is it doesn't cost you anything to list. So hypothetically, you could spend hours, if not tens of thousands is not what I meant to say, but like hundreds of hours maybe, and list tens of thousands of products if you really wanted to, and you can play the volume game and it doesn't cost you anything, and chances are, obviously, that's not necessarily the smartest way to go, but the more items you list, ideally, potentially, the more sales that you'd potentially make, right? Because more listings, more potential sales. It doesn't always correlate and work that way, but I'm just trying to get you to think. The reason that that's an issue on Etsy is because on Etsy, they charge you 20 cents per listing, right? So you can't really play the volume game on Etsy, even if you can leverage software, because you have to be more selective about what you're listing and have to make sure that chances are that's gonna potentially sell or be a winning product. They all don't have to be winning products, but you can't really play the volume game like you can on the other sites because they charge you per listing, okay? So that said, you have to be really selective, although you could look at that as a benefit as well and argue that it's a benefit because a lot of other people aren't doing it for those specific reasons. And so if you can do it effectively, if you can kind of find good products, and if you can kind of carve out a good niche for yourself, it can be heavily profitable, I think, okay? It's something, again, that I see on the horizon. I haven't tested out too crazily yet. I do know other people that do it and do it effectively, although I don't have too much experience with it yet. But you can drop ship on Etsy if you want to play around with that, okay? And ZDrop also will drop ship to Etsy. Now, the other one that ZDrop will drop ship to and list 2 is Mercari, okay? Now, full disclosure, I think it was like 2 years ago now, they sent me a cease and desist letter about, with tutorials, because I created tutorials on how you can drop ship on Mercari. So I'm not gonna create any more content about like how to actually do it. All I'm saying is any website where they're gonna give you your own shipping labels or let you ship out with your own shipping and input a tracking number, you can obviously drop ship from. Mercari has that option. Do the math. If you want to look into it, you can. I'm not going to teach people how to do it because I don't want to get another cease and desist letter. And the next 2 that I want to talk about are OfferUp and Poshmark, okay? So just like we just talked about with Mercari, who allows you, just like Facebook, just like Amazon, just like eBay, just like Walmart, allows you to input your own tracking and use your own shipping labels, right? You don't have to use the website's shipping labels. With Poshmark and OfferUp, you do have to use their shipping labels, right? So you can't, when you create the listing, there's no option to like, hey, I want to use my own shipping and input, a UPS tracking number or a FedEx tracking number that you get from your supplier or something like that, right? With OfferUp and Poshmark, you have to use their labels, so that kind of handicaps you, okay? So you can do one of 2 things, okay? You can actually do one of 3 things. So first and foremost, you can do dropship arbitrage on OfferUp and Poshmark, where you list all the items ahead of time. You then, if you have Amazon Prime or you're using somewhere like Walmart or Target that obviously has fast shipping, any website that has fast shipping in like a day or 2, you can order it to yourself after you make the sale and then ship it out with the label. That's dropship arbitrage. I have countless videos on that on this channel. Just go back like 10 to 15 videos. You can find one on OfferUp, you can find one on Poshmark, and you can also find one on Facebook Marketplace where I'm teaching the same kind of business model, although I don't really do that anymore. I actually do just full on dropship on Facebook now. But you can do the dropship arbitrage on OfferUp and Poshmark if you want to, okay? You can also, what I've heard of people doing is you can also drop ship on Facebook and drop ship on OfferUp and Poshmark, and then also ship out like a thank you with the actual label, right? So how that works is you, just like you would on any other marketplace, you facilitate the sale, but then obviously your tracking label that you have to print out because of that sale on either OfferUp or Poshmark, you actually have to ship that to the customer as well, okay? So they can both go to the customer, they're gonna get the product, and then they're also going to get like a package with a thank you note in it with the Poshmark label and or the OfferUp label. And you can also, obviously on Poshmark, the buyer pays the shipping, so you don't have to worry about that extra cost. On OfferUp, you can elect to have the buyer pay the shipping. So again, you don't have to worry about that cost. So that can work if you drop ship. You just have to make sure that you also print out the label and send a thank you note, okay? I've heard of people doing this effectively. I have not tried it yet. It's something that interests me, although I see some potential issues with it. So if you're gonna go that route, I wouldn't scale it up too crazy first. I would play around with it and test it, see if it's actually viable, because the only issue I see with that is like not so much on OfferUp, in my opinion, but on Poshmark, you can scale it pretty easily, I think, especially if you're using like a software that like auto shares. I don't have mine running, but sometimes it's running in the background. And so all it really takes is one buyer to kind of bring that to Poshmark's, like attention, and then it might arise an issue and you could get your account suspended. I have not tried it, I'm not sure about it. I've technically been just reselling and technically just doing the dropship arbitrage on both of these to see if they're viable, and then I put that obviously as like business models in my Resale University course, which you can check out for, there's a free 10-minute video that will show you like what it is if you're interested, down in the description. It's the first link in the description. But you can do both of those, so you can either do the dropship arbitrage or you can do the drop shipping. You just have to send the thank you note. Keep in mind, I haven't tested this out yet. I know people that do it. I plan to kind of play around with it and test it out a little bit. I just haven't gotten around to it, okay? And the third way that you can obviously drop ship is the same way that I recommend drop shipping on Amazon or eBay. So if you drop ship on OfferUp and Poshmark, you can actually, if you set up deals with wholesale suppliers and then you send them the label, they can ship out with your Poshmark label or ship out with your OfferUp label, okay? That works. I know of people that do that. I have not set those deals up myself, but you can do that, and that is actually an effective way to actually really drop ship. The only issue is you need an actual wholesale supplier that will do it for you. There's a lot of them out there, and they have to be willing to ship with your label, okay? So that's the next one, OfferUp and Poshmark. So to recap, before we get into the last few, we have Facebook, obviously, so Facebook Marketplace. We have Amazon and eBay, which I recommend you only wholesale drop ship on those. You have Walmart, which is an up-and-comer. We have Etsy, who has a lot of promise, but they charge you per listing, and you can only list vintage and handmade. We have have Mercari, obviously. Look into that if you want to, get more information. I'm not going to talk about it too much. OfferUp and Poshmark, where there's 3 options. You can either do the dropship arbitrage, which I'll try to link a few videos down in the description if I find them on what that actually is and how you can perform it. You can also do the drop shipping, but then you have to send a thank you with the labels, or you can facilitate it and set up a deal with a wholesale supplier who will ship out using your labels if you send them the label every single time you get a sale. All of those are very effective. Now, the last ones are ones that I'm trying recently. I've been really busy this past week because it was obviously Easter and it was my fiance's 30th birthday. So like the entire weekend was like a 30th birthday party. I'm like drawn out and a little tired, so I haven't had a lot of time to actually look into these. I started listing on all of these platforms just to kind of see if they're viable, but the benefit of all these platforms is twofold, okay? First and foremost, they all allow you to use your own shipping labels so you can drop ship on them, just like you could on Facebook Marketplace. The second benefit is the cross-posting software that I always talk about, List Perfectly, will also cross-post to all of these, right? So that means that if you're using a software like ZDrop, for example, like I've talked about in many, many videos, and you're posting to either Facebook or Mercari or somewhere like that, right, or Etsy, what you can then do is you can go into your listing on Facebook, for example, and then choose to cross-post that same exact listing to all these other websites, and it doesn't take that much time off your hands. It's super, super quickly, right? So you can leverage software because the cross-posting software lists to all of these. And on top of that, and that's List Perfectly. If you guys want List Perfectly, I think you can save like 50% off the first month. I forget what the deal is that I've set up with them, but you can. I'll drop that in the description if you're interested. It's a phenomenal software. I've also done a video. I'll try to drop the video in the description as well if you want to check it out and like how to actually use it and what it will do for you. Highly recommend it. But so we have Depop, we have Kittison, we have Grailed and Tradesy, which you'll see if you go to the List Perfectly site. Lists to all of those, okay? So I have been listing a little bit more on Depop because from some of the people that I've talked to, that's where they get a lot of their sales out of all these other ones. These are kind of lower sales velocity marketplaces, but I would assume that there isn't really much dropshipping competition on there, and there probably isn't as much listing competition on there as there would be on like a Poshmark or a Mercari, or obviously an Amazon and eBay, or a Walmart or a Facebook, right? Or something like that. So I see them as good opportunities. I haven't tested them out fully, but obviously if you can use your own shipping label and you can also leverage software, you can drop ship and list to them very, very quickly, especially Depop, which you see right here. I'm literally listing to Depop, and you can see I started cross-posting before I started finishing this video. I don't know if you can see that because it's a little far away, but that you get the picture, right? And so these are great opportunities that I'm looking into. You could test them out if you want. What I recommend is don't spend like a day listing hundreds of things to them. Instead, list like 20 to each one and see if you get any traction. I've been seeing like on Depop and I think Tradesy, I already have buyer interest, and I already have, like I haven't made any sales yet because I just started listing, and like I said, I was busy all weekend. But I have gotten a lot of likes on items, and I also have gotten some buyer interest in some of those things. I just haven't converted anybody to a sale yet. So those are good up-and-comers. So that's 4 more. You have Depop, Kittison, Grailed, and Tradesy, which again, all let you use your own labels, and all you can leverage the List Perfectly cross-posting software to list on them as well. And the other one that I want to talk about, because Grailed is actually only a menswear. I found this out because I actually cross-posted women's clothing to Grailed. It's apparently only a menswear site where you can list menswear. So their partner, their mirror other site that's a woman's one is called Heroin. So you have Grailed and Heroin. You can list there if it's women's clothes. The issue with that though is obviously you can't use a cross-posting software because List Perfectly doesn't. I'm not sure if Vendoo does or any of the other ones, although I did a review video of Vendoo versus List Perfectly. I recommend List Perfectly for that reason, because it lists more places and I like the software a lot better. But you can't use a software to list to any places like that. So any other ones would be like Heroin, where you can obviously list to them, or any other marketplace that obviously lets you use your own shipping option, or obviously uses your own label. So those are 13 marketplaces specifically that you can drop ship on now currently. A lot of them are very, very promising, like Facebook Marketplace, for example, or Walmart looks to be a great opportunity. Amazon and eBay have ridiculously high sales velocity. Obviously so does Walmart and so does Facebook Marketplace, but they're a little bit more competitive, and you should only really focus on wholesale drop shipping in my opinion, although Amazon obviously has the most sales velocity of all of them, so pick and choose your battles here, right? I would say focus on one of these places or 2 of these places maybe. Don't try to drop ship on all of them, because if you try to drop ship on all of them and scale up very quickly, you're gonna run into problems where you don't have systems in place, and it's just gonna be a headache. You're gonna be spinning your wheels and you're gonna be confused, right? Focus on one or two of these marketplaces, scale them up, master them, and then move on to another one. But I wanted to outline a bunch of these because I get this question a lot, and because I think that there's a lot of opportunity in some of these other marketplaces that nobody's really drop shipping on, like Etsy, for example, or Mercari, or OfferUp, or Poshmark, or Depop, or Kittison, or Grailed, or Tradesy, or anywhere like that that obviously lets you use your own labels or ship on your own, okay? I hope you like this video. If you appreciate me outlining all of these, give it a thumbs up. I genuinely appreciate it, and it actually really does help the video a lot. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and obviously I'll answer them as soon as I see them. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one.